I got my little Alani because it's going to be needed for this video. So grab your drink and let's go through my 5-star reads. Perfect. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, hi, my name's Bree. Stay for a while. So obviously I feel like I've made a little catchphrase now. That's the little catchphrase that I say at the start of all my videos. It just rolls off the tongue now automatically. But anyway, hi, welcome. Let's go through my 5-star reads. So I've seen a bunch of people go through their 5-star reads recently and I thought, you know what, let's go through all of mine. And I was quite shocked at how little I've given 5 stars because I feel like I give 5 stars out a lot, and a lot of people tell me that I give out 5 stars a lot. But looking at the amount of books here, considering I've been reading for about 2 years and I've read roughly almost 200 books in those 2 years, this isn't that many 5 stars. And to be honest, a lot of these 5 stars aren't still 5 stars. So I was going to go through my Goodreads and I was going to change a bunch of books, like take the ones off that weren't 5 stars anymore. But I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to go through them all with you and I'd let you know like if it is still 5 star. But I think I'm going to keep them on my Goodreads as a 5 star because at that moment in time it was a 5 star for past Bree, and present Bree might not think that they are 5 stars because our reading style changes all the time and we like things at different points in our lives. So I am keeping them a 5 star because at that point in my life it was a 5 star. So these are all the books. I should have counted how many there are. I'll pop a number on the screen somewhere at how many books there are. I'll count them after I'm done. So one thing I will say that I did is I did go back onto my Goodreads recently, not for this video in mind. I went back on my Goodreads because there was a few books I've recently read that I've rated a 4.75 but I can't stop thinking about them, and I've gone back and changed them to a 5-star read. Only like 2 or 3, but I'll let you know which books they are. But we've got fantasy this side, if you couldn't tell by the Arkham that's right here, and then we've got romance this side. I feel like there's more romance books here that are 5 stars because only in the last year I started reading fantasy, but I thought let's just go through them. I think I'll go through the romance first and then we'll go through the fantasy last, and I'm very excited to show you all of my 5-star reads. They're all 5-star reads for different reasons, and in the words of Emmy Rossum, 5 stars is a feeling. Okay, just remember that. And also remember, reading is subjective, so these might be 1 stars for you, but for me they're 5 stars and I will accept no criticism on my 5-star reads. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through these. They were in order but they all collapsed and now they're all out of order, so we're just gonna randomly pick them out. Okay, we're gonna start with This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I recently read this and oh my god, this book is one of those books you read at the right time in your life, and I read this at the perfect time in my life and I resonated so much with every single character in this book. And there's a single quote, so I have 1 tab in this book because I had to underline this quote, and it's honestly just what I needed to hear. Sometimes I worry that I've got older, I've shrunk my world instead of making it grow. I'm sorry, but I really resonated with that quote so much and I just loved this book, the vibe and everything about it. Like, this book was so much more than just a happy romance. It was about growth, friendship, grief, discovering yourself, finding love. It was about so much and I loved it so much. I don't know where to put these books after I'm finished with them. Next up we've got One True Loves. This is probably still a 5-star for me. I read this, I think I read this last year, or did I read it at the start of this year? I don't know, I can't remember when I read this, but oh my god, this was the first book that I ugly cried to. Okay, like since discovering books again, this is the first book that I ever ugly cried to. I love this. I'm not a massive Taylor Jenkins Reid fan. Some people are like a die-hard Taylor Jenkins Reid fan. I'm not a big fan of hers, but this book I sobbed and I sobbed and I sobbed. There was one line in this book that said at some point we were both looking out at the same ocean or something like that. I sobbed. I couldn't. This was the first book that I sobbed to, and I went into my sister's room. It was when I still lived at home. I went into my sister's room and I was sobbing. I was like, I can't read the book anymore, it's so sad. But if you didn't know, it's like follows Emma and Jesse and they were high school sweethearts, and then he goes away on this like expedition or something and he goes missing, and then like a few years later after Emma's moved on, he then like comes back. Like, he's been found, he's been missing all this time, they thought he was dead, and he comes back and there's like, oh my god, you have to read this. And then at the start of the year I read The Deal. This is the only 5-star read in the Off-Campus series. This is one of the books that I recently changed. I was a 4.75 but recently I've been like telling everyone to read the Off-Campus series. Whenever people ask me for like romance recommendations or like hockey romance, I always say the Off-Campus series because there's a whole universe. You have the Off-Campus series, you have the Brer U Diaries, and then you have the Brer U series as well. Oh, not the Brer U Diaries, I think it's Campus Diaries. So you have Off-Campus, and then you have the Brer U series, and then you have the Campus Diaries, and it's all part of like one big Off-Campus universe and I love it so much. But The Deal is my favourite, and even to this day I still think about Hannah Wells and Garrett Graham every single day, and for that this is a 5-star. May as well stick with the Campus Diaries. So this is book number 2 in the off-campus universe, well, the Campus Diaries. This is a most recent spin-off to the off-campus series, and this is set like a few years ahead after like Garrett and Hannah have grown up and had kids. This is about their kids and like their kids' friends and stuff. So this follows Diana and Shane, and I read this in a reading vlog and I rated it 4.75, but this is a 5-star because still to this day I think about this book and I think about Shane, because everything about this book, usually I don't think books should be over 400 pages or over 450 pages at least, like maximum 450 pages is what a romance book should be, and I was not bored for a single second of this. Like I loved every single thing about it, and for that it's a 5-star. And then I think this might have been like the 3rd or 4th ever book I read after getting back into reading, and it's Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I loved this book at the time. I read this in one sitting. This is the first book that I read in one sitting. When I say the first book, I mean when I got back into reading. This is all adult life 5 stars. I cannot remember what I gave 5 stars as a child. I didn't have Goodreads back when I was a child, okay? I just read books and that was it. So as getting back into an adult, this is the first book that I read straight through because I was obsessed with it, and I recently did a reread. I think I reread this in February. Hooked again. I loved it. It was a 5-star again. It has this like nostalgic feeling about it and I don't know what it is, but I just loved this book and I still love it. And then another book that has that nostalgic feeling for me is 5 Feet Apart. If you haven't watched the film is one of my favourite films ever, and I ugly cry to that film every single time I watch it. But I first originally read this book when it first came out, and I did a reread of it, I think it was last year, and I rated it 5-star. I love it. The film I love. Everything about 5 Feet Apart I love so much, and I love the book because it's got like an alternative ending and I really love it. And then we may as well just get the big bulk of Colleen Hoover books out of the way. So I've got an embarrassingly large amount of Colleen Hoover books here that I rated 5-star back in the day when I first got back into reading. Of course, let's just go with what started it all. It ends with us. If I reread this now, would it be a 5-star? Probably not. But at the time, it was the first book I read that got me back into reading. I had a grand old time. I remember saying to my sister, she was like, why are you reading a book? And I was like, reading a book, like a fictional book, it feels like you're watching a film but you're just reading about it, and it's in little sections and it's just amazing. And that's what I was like when I got back into reading. I was like, I just love it, and it just brought so much back of like why I loved reading so much. So for that, it's a 5-star. And then I think after it ends with us, I went in with Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, obviously, and this would definitely not be a 5-star. I did listen to the audiobook not that long ago. I was on a really long car journey and I think I only listened to like 40%, but even in that 40% I was like, this isn't the same book that I read, but it's just because my styles changed. But at the time I absolutely loved it and I ate it up, and I loved, what's his name? Miles Archer. I loved Miles Archer. He was like one of my first ever book boyfriends. I loved him so much. And then we have Verity. This is probably still a 5-star just for the fact that I was so like, I don't read that many thrillers, so this was like the first ever like thriller side of book that I read, even though it's not like a proper thriller. It was still like a thriller-ish, like thriller-esque vibe, and I was like literally dumbfounded. My head still to this day, I don't know whether I'm team letter or team manuscript, and for that it's a 5-star because I do still think about this book every day and I do still wonder what team I'm on, whether I'm manuscript or letter. And then the last two of the Colleen Hoover, we've got Layla by Colleen Hoover. Again, this is more of like the thriller side of things for Colleen Hoover. This was a bit weird at the start, like the first 5 chapters was a bit strange, but once I got into the story I was like, what the frick is going on right now? So many people hate on this book, but I remember now to this day I'm like, what? Like what? And I loved it. It was so good. I don't know why people hate on this book. It's something really different to what she usually writes, and I thought it was really good. Would it still be a 5-star? Probably not, but it's quite different. I enjoyed it. And then we got Heartbones. Now I think inside here, yeah, inside this book is, I'm not going to show you, but I should really get rid of these Yeah, at the time I fell in love with this book, and I put 2 photo booth pictures of me and my ex in there. Should really get rid of them. Should just leave them on the side. Because I opened this book not long ago and they fell out and I was like, didn't know they were in there. Kind of embarrassing, but you know, we overshare here on this channel. But we got Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. I remember I was obsessed with this book. The beach vibes, the like twist of like Samson and stuff. I loved it so much. It wouldn't still be a 5-star if I read it now, but at the time I was obsessed. Like, I loved this book so much I put pictures of me and my boyfriend in there, like some weirdo, now ex-boyfriend. Right, moving on to our Elsie Silver book. Oh, there's 3 Elsie Silver books. They're all parts of the Chestnut Springs series. I have read all of Elsie Silver's books that are out so far, but we have got Heartless, which is obviously everyone's favourite. We've got Powerless, which is slept on. I feel like this is people's least favourite, but I loved Powerless. It was such a good old time. Sloane, she was so fun. And then we got Reckless. This is my baby. I loved this. I resonated with Winter in this book because she's just like an ice queen that like, she needs her barriers broken down. I feel like I am that ice queen that needs my barriers broken down. I'm very reserved when you first meet me, even when with like friendship, not just men. I'm very reserved, so I feel like I resonate a lot with Winter, and this is always my favourite. And the accidental pregnancy trope was done so well. I usually don't like the accidental pregnancy trope, but with this I absolutely ate it up. And these are probably all still 5-star reads for me, and the whole Chestnut Springs as a series is a 5-star read. Like, the whole found family element of this series is a 5-star. And then we've got Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I recently read this year and I love this book. This was the first Abby Jimenez book I read, which I know I did it out of order. I read this first and then Just for the Summer, and then I went back and read Part of Your World, which I know is all out of sync. But I give this a 5-star, not just for Abby Jimenez's writing, but the way that she wrote the social anxiety element around Jacob in this book was done so well. And as a social anxiety girly with crippling social anxiety, this, I was just blown away with how much I resonated with Jacob. Just him as a character I fell in love with and resonated with him so much. And then should we do next? I'm gonna show you, we'll do Ash's Voice. I love this book so much. This again made me ugly cry, and the female main character is called Bree, which I love in books. I love seeing my name in books. But oh my god, I need to do a reread of this book and tab it because I fell in love with this book. I love it so much. It's one of my all-time favourite reads. And just Archer, oh my god, he's the sweetest man ever to exist, okay? Just like the way they have their own communication, like they communicate through sign language, which I know isn't different, but like Archer, his whole life has never been able to communicate with anyone because no one knows sign language, and then Bree comes along and knows sign language and they can communicate together. Oh my god, it's so sweet. And then we've got Wildfire. I recently again changed this to a 5-star read because Daydream came out by Hannah Grace. I haven't read it yet, but I have a feeling that will be a 5-star as well, and it got me thinking about Wildfire and how much I absolutely loved it. And then I started recommending the like Maple Hill series to my friend Danny because she wanted to read more romance again because she'd sort of like lost the romance side of her. She was always just reading fantasy, so I recommended this, and then I was like hyping up Wildfire so much, and then I realised, you know what, this is a 5-star read. I still think about this book to this day, and Russ is the sweetest. He is the epitome of golden retriever boyfriend. He is amazing, and this is like so different. It's set at like a summer camp, but they're like the camp counsellors, and it's something I've never read before. I still haven't read anything similar to this, and I absolutely ate it up. And then we've got Twisted Games. Not that long ago, I'd say, maybe at the start of the year, I went through my Goodreads and I changed a bunch of the Twisted series because I rated, at the time I rated them all a 5-star, but going back they weren't. But I should have left them as a 5-star. At the time they were obviously a 5-star, but still no, this is a 5-star. I love this. I really want to do a reread of this because I don't know why, this is my favourite book of the Twisted series. Just Reese Larson was the hottest man I'd ever read about at the time. And I think the Twisted Sisters, the Twisted series as a whole is a 5-star read, is like a 5-star series because it was the first like interconnected series of books that I'd like ever read, and I feel like it just has this nostalgic feeling around it, and I loved it so much. And then we've got Danielle Lowry's The Maddest Obsession. This is the second book in the Maid series. this definitely isn't a 5-star, and I didn't read that long ago. At the time it was a 5-star. I don't know why I rated it 5-star, because I honestly don't remember what goes on in this book. But at the time I obviously felt like it was a 5-star, and I remember absolutely eating it up and loving it so much. I think I read it in like 2 days. I don't remember what happens in it and I don't know whether it's still like a 5-star, but at the time I enjoyed it. I rated it a 5-star, so it's staying a 5-star. And then we've got the whole Mindfuck series. So the Mindfuck series is based off of 5 novellas. This is all 5 novellas in one book, but they're all on Kindle Unlimited. I read them all on my Kindle individually, but I rated them all a 5-star, but it's because this as a whole is a 5-star. When I think of the Mindfuck series, I think of it as one whole book because it's a bunch of novellas, so it's a 5-star. The Mindfuck itself is a 5-star. And then we've got my baby, Say Swear by Megan Brandy. This is a very controversial one. This went viral last summer, I think it was. Everyone was reading it last summer anyway, and it was all over my TikTok. Everyone's raving about it, but then everyone was also saying it was the world's worst book that they've ever read. So I give it a go, and tell me why. I was obsessed. And also there's a trope in this book that I'm not going to say because, you know, it's a spoiler. There's a trope in this book that happens that I absolutely freaking hate. It's my biggest pet peeve of a trope. Like, I hate it so much. Even if it's done for like 10 minutes, I hate it with all of my being. But this, I didn't care because I loved it so much. Noah Riley. The female main character was a bit irritating, but I could see past that just for the simple fact of Noah Riley existing in this book. And I loved it with all of my being. I definitely need to do a reread of this next summer, I think. And then the last 2 of my romance books are obviously Jessa Hastings. We've got The Long Way Home, which is the second Magnolia Parks book, and then we've got Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, which is my absolute baby. I love this book so much. If you didn't know, the Magnolia Parks universe is split up into Magnolia Parks books and then Daisy Hates books. Now, the first one is Magnolia Parks, and the second one is Daisy Hates, and then the third one is Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, and then The Great Undoing, Daisy Hates. They all sort of like, so the first 2 books happen at the same timeline, and then these 2 happen at the same timeline, but obviously from different perspectives. You got Magnolia's perspective and then Daisy's perspective. Just read the series, okay? It's so good. Imagine Gossip Girl but set in London. Brilliant. Absolutely love it. But these 2 books, so hard. The emotional turmoil I experienced during these books, especially this book. But there's a quote in this. There's a quote that literally says, like, "You are my great undoing," and that quote, I was done. I was done. Like, Christian and Daisy, the ending of this book, when she's in the car and he's like banging on the window, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't. I was sobbing, like ugly crying during this scene. And then Julian, he just needs a big hug, and I will happily give Julian Hates that big hug. So let's move on to my fantasy. There's not that many fantasy books here. The majority of these are very similar in the way that they're written. Not written, but like the vibe that they are all very similar, which just goes to show with my taste, to be honest. But I think we should just start off strong. We should just start off strong with my Sarah J Maas books, because that's what takes up the big bulk of these. So my Sarah J Maas books, if you're wondering, you know, there's not that many Sarah J Maas books out. Why isn't Throne of Glass here? Because I DNF'd that series, okay? That is not my kind of series. If I read it as a young adult, maybe I would have enjoyed it. As a 25-year-old, for some reason, couldn't connect with any of it, so I DNF'd that series. But we've got all these books here, and I will show you what they are. So the first 2 books are House of Earth and Blood and House of Sky and Breath. I adore these books with all of my being. These are my most recent Sarah J Maas reads. And House of Earth and Blood, I did a reading vlog on. I will pop it here because you need to go read, you need to go watch that video, okay? I ugly cried, like ugly cried on camera just for you guys, okay? This is one of my all-time favourite books. House of Earth and Blood is my favourite Sarah J Maas book ever written, okay? I've even got this tattooed on my body. I have Light It Up tattooed on my body, okay? This looks humongous, but it is way too short for me. I needed 10,000 more pages of this book. Oh, I ate it up. And then this, not many people like this. People said like the first 80% of the book is just no point of it, but I was not bored during a single time with this book, and I loved it so much. They're both 800-page books, but they feel like I'm reading a 300-page book, okay? Nothing in these were wasted. I love them, and I will forever love them. The third book wasn't my favourite. I rated it like a 4.5. It's still a good book, but I didn't like the way Bryce's character was like presented in that book, so to say, or like I just didn't like Bryce in that book, okay? She was a bit of a bitch, and for that it lost points, okay? But these 5 stars. And then we've got my ACTA books. Oh my god, oh my god, what is going on right now? I obviously rated A Quarter Mr. Fury 5 stars. I freaking love this book. I love this book for the romance side of things, and then I rated this a 5 star for the plot side of things because I love the war and the politics in this book, okay? I ate this up like the High Lord meeting. I loved so much. And then I also rated Code of Silver Flames a 5 star because I'm a Nesta girly, okay? I freaking love Nesta. I am a Nesta girly through and through. Okay, like watching Nesta all throughout this book develop and like become the woman that she deserves to be is amazing. Like the ending of this and like just watching Nesta find her friends and like become so much better as a person, and like the growth that she goes through. Loved, 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 loved. Sorry about the sun. There's not much I can do. The sun is right there. Is that a bit better? I think so. If I close them too much, then we're going to be in total darkness. So I can't close them too much. But moving swiftly along, let's go with these. So we've got, over here, Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This was my first ever, One Dark Window was the first ever gothic romance I read. And the second one, the sequel to One Dark Window, this is how a sequel should be written. I ate this up, okay? One Dark Window was a 4.5, but this was a 5 star. I loved the way that we got like the different perspectives. So we got Emery, I can't remember his name. That's Elspeth's Raven. Loved him. What was the other POV that we had? Elm. That was his name. I was close. We had Elm's POV in this, and I loved that we got Elm's POV and like the little romance that Elm has. I loved so much, and the ending of this, I was like, what? I was not bored doing a single bit of this. And then this is, I think maybe this is my most recent 5 star read. No, it's not. This is my second most recent 5 star read, if that makes sense. So this is Dawn of Onyx by Kate Goldman. If I read this in 24 readathon, I said that it was a 4.5, but this is a 5 star because I cannot stop thinking about this book. I love, 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 love this book, okay? Everything inside this book. I ate it up. I think when I did my video, I said in the video that the female main character was a bit annoying. I've come to realise I can look past that, okay? I can look past that, and I love this book. Just everything about it. Arwen, a bit annoying, but still a queen, still a big slay. Cain, our shadow daddy. Oh, I just love a shadow daddy, okay? That's why I'm an Azrael girly. I'm a Cain girly. I'm a Xaden girly. I'm a shadow daddy girly, okay? Moving on, we've got The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. Tell me why I ate this up, okay? Cannot explain to you how I felt during this book. It was like whiplash, okay? This like filled that Crescent City hole in my heart because the vibes of this are very similar to Crescent City, and I ate it up, okay? Everything about it, chef's kiss, immaculate. I haven't read the second or third book yet. Need to get my hands on them. Don't own them, but I will very soon, and I just know it's gonna be a 5 star series. Like, speaking of that Crescent City hole in my heart, this is another book that filled that Crescent City hole in my heart. It's Spark of the Everflame. This is so similar to Crescent City, not in a copy and paste kind of way, in a way that I just loved and I ate up, okay? The storyline and the plot are very similar but also very different. Like the world of this, so different, so intriguing. I have no words to describe this book because it was just everything I could have asked for and more in a book, and for this to be a sequel, not a sequel, for this to be a debut novel is insane to me, okay? And I'm so happy that I own the indie versions of these, okay? Because they are stunning, because they're going to be traditionally published, and I own the indie versions. These are my babies. Moving on, we've got Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This was the first book that I ever annotated, okay? I don't think I've annotated a book since, but look at all those tabs. I read this in a video. You can go see my reactions of this in the video. The way that Rebecca Ross writes is so magical, okay? I fell in love with this book because of the love between Iris and Roman. I didn't like Ruthless Vows, okay? If you watched my finishing series I'm in the middle of, episode 1, you've seen that I read Ruthless Vows and I rated it a 1.5 star, which is drastically different to the 5 star that this book is, okay? Because this was a masterpiece, okay? Ruthless Vows, not so much. This, masterpiece. And then we've got two Bridget Chimera books. These are part of the Defy the Night trilogy. So this is Defend the Dawn, which is the second book in the trilogy. And then you've got Destroy the Day. This book gives middle book syndrome, but in a good way. Like, I love this just for the fact that the romance was romancing. Even though it's a YA, the romance was still romancing, okay? But it does give middle book syndrome. But at the time, I think it was a 5-star read. And even though they're all just like on a boat, I think it was the ending that did it for me, because I was just like, oh, what? Like, the last 10 pages of a book can have me hooked, and it can be a 5-star just for those last 10 pages, honestly. Do I still think it's a 5-star? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not too sure. It's a 5-star series for sure, like the trilogy as a whole, 5-star. And then we've got the Destroy the Day. This is the last and final installment. I was ugly crying at the end of this. Tell me why Bridget Chimera had me thinking one thing and then did another. I'm sorry, sir? Miss? Whiplash. Left, right and centre, okay? I ate all of this up. Harrison deserved everything that he got, okay? In the best way. Harrison, I loved. He is just... I think that that's the only reason why this had 5-star. It's just because of Harrison, okay? And I loved that. I loved that we had more of Harrison in this book. Moving along to our last few that we have here now. We've got Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is the only Stephanie Garber book that I've rated a 5-star. All the rest are 4 stars or above, but this is like 5-star for me. I didn't know what the frick was going on during this book. Tell me why some people can guess what's gonna happen in the world of Caraval, because you are lying. If you can guess what's gonna happen in there, no, you can't. You're just trying to be cool, okay? Because no, my mind, I couldn't comprehend what was going on. Nothing felt real, and in the words of Stephanie Garber, nothing is real in the world of Caraval, okay? You will be deceived. During this entire book, I felt like I was in Caraval. I felt like I was there in the book, okay? And this was just magical. Like, it was just a fairy tale. Moving along, we've got Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is still a 5-star, okay? This is a 6-star book for me. I really want to do a reread of this before Onyx Storm comes out, because Iron Flame wasn't my favourite. I think the back and forth was a bit dragged on and got a bit on my nerves. But Fourth Wing, I read, okay, this in 2 days, which is insane because it took me almost a week to read Onyx Storm, and this I read in 2 days. It's almost like over 500 pages, and there's so many words in the Fourth Wing books. Like, someone counted the words, and there's, even though it's like, it looks like a short book, there's loads of words crammed into like one page, so you're reading more than the average sort of like 500-page book. And I read this in 2 days. I read the majority of it in one day. I think I read like 20% in one day, and then the next day I read the rest of it. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep, I didn't do anything other than digest this book, okay? And for that, it's a 6 freaking stars. Zayden is the best Shadow Daddy in my opinion. And then going on to our Mads Rafferty books, honestly, 6 stars. Tell me why. These are debut novels and they are written so well, okay? I'm obsessed with these. Obsessed. These fill the ACTA shaped hole in my heart. These were like ACTA, but like not in a copy and paste kind of way, just in like that nostalgic ACTA feeling, okay? These are written so well. Mads Rafferty needs to have these traditionally published, okay? They are immaculate. Love them both. She's not afraid to do anything. Mads Rafferty isn't, okay? Because she's killing off characters left, right and centre. And tell me why I was like crying at the end of these books, because I was just like, what is going on? What's going on right now? No, Miss Rafferty, why are we killing off characters right now? No, we are not. Go read these. Go support Mads. She's an indie published author, okay? She's got YouTube, so go subscribe. She's got TikTok, go follow her. She's got Instagram, go follow her. Go buy these books, go read them. They're also on Kindle Limited as well, so just go support a small indie author, okay? And you will not regret it. And then finally, my Zodiac Academy book. So I haven't finished the whole series yet, but up until this point I've only read up to book 5. I've read book 5, I'm on book 6 now currently. That's the next book I need to read. But out of the series that I've read so far, these 2 are 5 stars, but the first 5-star I gave was book number 3, The Reckoning, and then this is the most recent read, which is Cursed Fates. This book, this series as a whole, is, I think, I'm gonna say it, but my all-time favourite series, and I haven't even finished the series yet. This world, the world of Zodiac, is incredible, okay? You will cry, you will laugh, you will be mad, you'll be throwing the book across the room, and that is because the Twisted Sisters are truly twisted, okay? Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti are so twisted, and I love them so much. But I simply loved this just because it's the reckoning, okay? The ending of this was just like, what the frick is going on right now? And then this, book number 5, what? That's all I can say for this book is what? Like, no. I was speechless all throughout this book, and the ending, no, that didn't happen in the end, okay? Why is Lionel being such a cunt for? Okay, Lionel needs to be shot dead. Gone. And I just loved the found family that started to form during this book. This is where the found family really starts to like take shape and form, and I loved it so much. I love this series with all of my being, okay? And I'm so glad again that I have the indie versions of these books, because when these get traditionally published, I will be happy that I have these, because they are going to get traditionally published, okay? They really are. I have hope that they're going to be traditionally published, and I'm going to own every single trad pub one. I feel like I've been speaking for so long, but that is all of my 5-star reads, and I hope you guys enjoyed, because I sure did. It was quite fun to go through these and like reminisce on some old reads and see which ones I'd want to reread. And yeah, let me know in the comments if any of those are some of your favourite reads as well and what you thought of them. But again, okay, remember, reading is subjective and 5 stars is a feeling, so don't come for me in my comments for my choices. Because I stand by them. Well, some of them. Don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up, all the other YouTubey stuff that I always ask you to do, because we always have a fun old time over here, okay? We're almost at 3,000 subscribers, which is insane to me. Insane. Like, if 3,000 of you stood in front of me, I'd be like, what? My social anxiety would be through the roof. To me, I'm just speaking to a little camera, but I'm actually speaking to 3,000 of you. 3,000. Insane. I'm very grateful for every single one of you. So happy that I made the choice to make a book too. And yeah, stay for a while, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!